We are live, baby.
We live. Come on in.
I don't know this song, so I can't.
I just made it up. So we're going to give everyone some time to enter.
Yeah, we hopped on a little bit early to get,
Get things situated.
Get the little thing situated, so.
Know what I mean?
Yeah, as you come in, just make sure you hit that like button. If you haven't already, subscribe, all that good stuff.
We're just giving some people some time to get in here.
Yeah, because we're a little bit early, but
we are. But we can do our spiel before we get started, so we can get that out of the way.
7 o'clock on the dot, really. So.
Oh, it's 7 o'clock on the dot. So yes, it's time to get started. There you go.
Let's do it.
Ooh, that's I like that. Okay, so when you enter, say hello to us so we know you're here. I see that there are 9 people so far that are viewing. Say hello. Make sure you hit the like button. That's the entry fee. As everyone is well aware already, this evening we are talking about traveling during the pandemic. We have some special guests that will be with us this evening. So we're so excited because we've gone live several times and we enjoy kicking it with our followers and with our subscribers. But this is our first time inviting others with us. So we're definitely excited about that. What's up, Eddie? I hope I'm saying it correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we still people still trickling in. We are finding the Foresters. If you are new to our channel, welcome. Thank you for coming along.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Right. We hope you just enjoy the discussion and consider subscribing to our channel. If you are a return subscriber, if you're a return viewer, thank you for coming back every week to talk with us. Just to give you an idea, we go live bi-weekly, so every other week on Tuesday. So every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Sharp. We ain't late over here, okay? And we also do a variety of topics. So we always poll on our community tab on YouTube about the topic for the next live. So if you are interested in trying to get the topic in there, you think you have a great question or great topic that you want to ask us or discuss, make sure that you are voting on our community tab. We always go off of what you all want to talk about, and we of course get some ideas. What's up, Miss Mo Campbell? Thank you for joining us. Hi, Whitney. Thank you for joining us. What's up, Dawn? Antonia. Hi, good evening.
What's up? Hope y'all got a little
Lady Robinson.
Hope y'all got a little drink with y'all.
From Seattle. Hi.
Oh, nice.
Renee from Austin. So we always start off before we get deep into the topic as people are trickling in. There's almost 20 people in here now. So say hello, hit the like button. We always discuss what we're drinking. We always say bring a drink or a snack and let's chat. Sometimes people drink with us, sometimes they don't, but it's fine. Whatever you do. We're drinking wine. We're doing 2 different wines today. So speaking of wine, y'all.
Right. We got plenty of it left over.
If you all have not seen our latest video about wine around the world, please check it out. You guys, my birthday is tomorrow. And I did a pre-celebration with some of my closest friends this Saturday. They came over. I tried to find some creative way to mix in some travel and my interest and passion in the midst of the pandemic. And so we did wine around the world. We each brought wine from each continent and we had a tasting. It was hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Check it out. So far, the reviews have been great. So hopefully you all check that out. But speaking of that, here are 2 of the wines that we reviewed that we're kind of finishing off. So that's the end of that bottle.
Yeah,
I'll probably tilt it.
Oh, I can't see it. I'm going the wrong way.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's just too bright.
I don't know if y'all can see it. So
right, can. This
is the one from Italy. It's a Pinot Grigio from Italy. And I'm drinking one from Australia. It's a Cabernet Sauvignon from Australia. So that's what we're drinking. If you're drinking something, let us know in the chat.
Yeah, let us know.
Some more people are coming in. What's up, LJ Maynard from Florida? Cheers, Renee. Cheers. Oh, nice. New subscriber from New Jersey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Happy birthday. Thank you so much. Cancer season. I get to close it out. I'm on the cusp. It's not
Leo
your time
season
yet.
is next.
It's not your time yet. Wait.
Ain't that the 23rd though?
Tomorrow's the 22nd. It ain't passed yet. Give me my moment first, and then you can do Leo season.
Yeah.
Riesling from Germany. Sky Bobby TV is drinking Riesling from Germany. Okay, so let's go ahead and move forward because I want to make sure that we have time for all of our guests. So topic tonight, traveling during the pandemic. Of course, it's a hot topic right now. There's so many people that are missing travel, we included. We are a traveling couple and a traveling family. We travel all around the world. We travel with our 6-year-old son, Bryce, as well. Sometimes we leave his butt at home, little vacation action. Sometimes we travel with them because we think it's very important for him to explore the world.
Yep, experience the world.
LJ Maynard, cut that Leo season stuff out.
Hello.
Okay?
When your birthday though?
Don't answer that.
August 9th out here.
I'm controlling what chat go up, so I ain't putting. So no, I'm joking. Oh, mango margarita. Okay. All right. So one more thing before we get into the first guest. We want to make sure that this is a informative, non-judgmental discussion. Okay. Thank you, Whitney. Cancer stick together. Boom. No judgment here. We know that there are people that have various perspectives on traveling during the pandemic. We know that some people are against it. Some people are for it. Some people are for it with the caveat of being safe. So we're not really here to debate whether or not people should or should not be traveling during the pandemic. What we're here to discuss is traveling during the pandemic, how things may have changed, what to consider if you're planning to travel, how to do so safely, and any other questions that you may have. So I just want to put that out there. Hi, Don from Spain. Nice.
Oh, wow.
Oh, you may see, and I'm pretty sure. See, don't even. Their season is next time. I'm pretty sure he.
Next time it's on the horizon.
It ain't today. Okay, so
I think she's. Is that the wine she's drinking from Spain, or she's from Spain?
Oh, maybe. Sorry, that might be right.
That's cool.
Okay,
Either way.
So we all know that there are things to keep in mind when traveling during the pandemic. Of course, a lot of people are doing domestic travel right now, which I think is a great opportunity to get out there and explore domestically. I think people often forget that domestic travel is part of travel. It does not have to be international. So get out there and find somewhere local you can go and still use the same precautions. Everyone knows, if y'all been following us for a while, looking at our videos, I've been a germaphobe before this pandemic. So I've always made recommendations on how to sanitize airplane and sanitize hotel and everything. But I think that during this pandemic, it's up a notch. Like that, we have to do a lot more things to plan accordingly.
And by the way, this is like an open discussion as well. So if you have any questions for our guests, feel free to type it in the box, and we'll definitely show it to you, and they'll go ahead and answer that for you. So yeah, we want to keep it an open discussion, keep it going, keep positive vibes, good vibes out there. So
right. No, I'm glad you mentioned that. Absolutely. So we'll let the guests share some things. We'll ask some questions, but we want you all to be able to ask questions as well. So if you have questions, do not hesitate to put them in the chat box. So I'm happy you mentioned that because I forgot to say that. All right. Without any further ado, let's get into the first guest. First, we have with us Sky Bobby TV. Bobby is a flight attendant in the travel industry. He also is a content creator, and he is very engaged in the travel industry. And he has some tips and information that he can share with you. So we're going to bring on Sky Bobby now. That is our first guest.
Hello, right. Good evening.
Hey,
how are you guys? I'm doing great, I wish I could be on an airplane traveling somewhere, but yes.
Right, who you telling?
I am travel sick, as they say. Homesick, I'm travel sick.
Yeah. You're used to this. This is nothing new to you. So thank you for joining us this evening. Bobby is all the way in California, so on the West Coast. So joining us. So thank you so much.
Oh, sure. Happy belated birthday.
Well, it's tomorrow, so you're early. You're right on time. You're right on time. Hi, Rosin. Thanks for joining us. Yes, Renee, we're looking forward to hear from special guests. So perfect segue into the discussion. So as I mentioned, Bobby is a flight attendant, and he also, aside from being a flight attendant, he has personal experiences of travel. But we wanted to start off by asking you, what changes have you witnessed being made in the airport as well as on the airplane due to the pandemic?
One of the first things you will notice inside of an airport is it is empty. It's kind of eerie. And something that somebody's been in and out of the airport for 30 years is just weird to me. But it's also closed. It's just for you to get to the gate, to the plane. There's no restaurants open. There's probably a coffee shop here or there. Their staffing is at minimum because the airlines are making no money. So even though it's empty, it's still going to take you time to get through security. A lot of the TSA agents have been out at 6, so definitely plan accordingly and extra time as if it is crowded. So don't assume because it's empty that you're going to go right through.
Right.
And you want touchless as much as possible. Some airlines are offering touchless machines where you can use like your app or a phone to check in. Anything you can not touch in an airport or airplane is the best thing possible. And one of my favorite things I want to tell people as a Sky Bobby secret is make sure you bring some cash with you because there are not people in the airport doing their duties like filling up the ATM machine.
Good tip.
So you don't want to be caught without the cash. So
wow.
definitely have that. That's one of the things like I learned the hard way that I needed some cash and I got to it and 3 ATM machines and the whole airport was just empty. So think about those incidental things you might need to have that on the side. Bring a nice packed lunch because the airplanes are not having any food on board either.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're on a long haul flight, pretzels is just not going to get it.
At all.
Not at all, right?
No.
No, those are some good tips because I don't think people think about that. I think that we have become very accustomed to being on having electronic ways that we can process our payments. And so a lot less frequent do you see people carrying cash with them. So it's not something that I would have thought about having to change due to the pandemic. So that's a great tip.
Yeah, great tip.
And then,
especially when you ride into another country as well, like a third world country, they already have limited ATM access. So you definitely want to have that on hand.
Right. And have you noticed any changes in what security is allowing through, given that people are bringing more on board?
Not so much what they're allowing, but more of getting through. Like some airlines and some airports are doing the temperature check. It's not a consistent thing, but you want to assume that you are getting your temperature check, especially if you're flying abroad. If you are flying abroad, I always recommend for essential reasons because it's still out there. But like you said earlier, domestic travel is probably a good time to travel domestic because America's beautiful. We usually fly over and through America, but we don't realize we still got our national monuments, parks, and but yeah. And then when you're on the airplane, I think you want to have layers of disinfecting and security. Even though the airlines are spraying and doing all those things, you still want to bring your own Purell because they may not get the particular areas, the knobs you turn the tray table down or going into the lavatories.
Tiffany's
if you're on
infamous for bringing wet ones with her. Like we always pack ones of Clorox wipes, always wipe everything down, seats, belt buckles, everything she gets.
Okay.
And some airlines are offering one when you get on board, but you just want to have control of your own disinfecting and sanitary reasons. Even after this pandemic, this is a good time to start practicing how to travel, even when we get a vaccine or anything, to get back on the airplane because the planes are just dirty. It's just,
that part.
Yeah.
That part.
And a couple of other cleanliness things. If you're going to wear a mask, I recommend that you wear a mask and not a covering. And it's something as strong, at least a surgical mask, which is something like one of these. You'll see like the blue ones.
Yeah.
You can wear like a covering, but you want something as strong as possible. N95 can, but if not, I wouldn't do anything less than, because you want to protect yourself as much as possible, as well as the other fellow passenger.
Absolutely.
Also, a lot of airlines are stopping the middle seat distancing. So you really don't want to expect that you have a middle seat. But what I recommend with some of these great prices is buy that middle seat. If you're a couple, you got that whole row, buy that middle seat. It gives you extra room. You don't have to worry about somebody sitting next to you you don't know. It's still cheaper than first class, which even first class, they're barely feeding those people. Unless you get a great deal in first class, I would buy 3 seats in economy and just stretch out there.
Yeah.
And then, so as a flight attendant, you already gave some great tips, but as a flight attendant, are there anything else that you recommend travelers keep in mind as they're going through the airport or on the aircraft, both to keep themselves safe, the other passengers safe, And also importantly, the flight attendants safe. Is there anything that you recommend they keep in mind?
Just be conscious of what you're touching in your environment. Try to touch as least as things as possible. You can easily just pick up the virus so easily. So always wash your hands. Bring some moisturizer. You should wash your hands at least a good 30 seconds. Warm water. If you don't have that, bring the hand sanitizer. Um, don't be afraid of the flight attendants right now. They're not as nice right now because a lot of them are getting these furloughs and getting released come October. I have several years, so I'm okay. But they're also in a situation where they don't want to be into, and they're risking their lives. I didn't even know that I was an essential worker until they told me I had to go to work 4 or 5 months ago. I'm like, wait a minute, I don't work at a store. But if I must, I gotta make the coins. But and find out who's working your side of the flight. Let them know who you are. I always talk to that flight attendant because as friendly as you are, as friendly as they are.
Right. No, I think that's very helpful. And as we wrap it up to just prepare for other guests, are there anything else that you want to share? One about traveling during the pandemic that you didn't have the opportunity to share already. And then also you are a travel content creator as well. So is there anything you want to share about your channel or what people can expect to come from your channel? And I'm also going to share the link. I've shared the link to Sky Bobby TV in the chat box. So make sure you check Sky Bobby TV out. But Bobby, is there anything else you want to share?
Definitely. I'm definitely Sky Bobby TV. That's all my links and channel. You find me on Instagram, YouTube. I'm starting TikTok now. I have something called Hotel Couture,
And fancy.
where I've been bored in my hotel room. So I take things out of the hotel and make a costume out of it. And I'll do a TikTok song. You guys probably see that one. But keep things fun when you're on a layover somewhere and you're having a good time. You're stuck and you can't go out because there's a lot of cities you can get into. But make sure you can come back in, you know.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, there's people's like, yeah, I'll go and I'll stay the 14 days. But also America's not accepting some countries coming in.
Facts.
But definitely check me out on my YouTube channel. It's a traveling channel. I'm traveling all over the world and I'm giving you my point of view of how it is to travel. And right now that I'm stuck, like you guys can't do anything, I'm doing more sit downs and conversations, and I'll be doing a live show pretty soon, maybe in the next couple of days. So definitely reach me at Sky Bobby TV. First of all, thank you guys so much.
One second, let me make
Hey,
sure.
no problem.
Well, thank you. I wanted to make sure this wasn't a question. Yeah, but thank you so much. Renee is saying we know Texas is a hot spot. Coming from Austin, what extra precautions should I be aware of coming out of a hot spot or having guests visit me here? Should travel from Texas be postponed? What things should she be aware of or have her guests be aware of coming out of a hot spot or having guests come visit her in a hot spot?
Well, first of all, I don't think you should ever postpone your travel if you can get there and the airlines and that state allows you to go, whatever reason it might be, whether it's essential, especially in America. But definitely check the CDC website and also the airlines and the city and county that you're flying to and finding out exactly what the rules, get off the news and go do your homework yourself. Just like you're booking your ticket, you want to go to that CDC and find out what's open, what's available. If you're going there for a vacation, you don't want to get there and have to stay in quarantine in your own room. Making sure what are the rules if you're going for a funeral or a wedding, how many people could be in the wedding, because a lot of people are just showing up somewhere and going right back, So do your homework and check the websites and be prepared and have a plan B, if it's because they're changing every day. So if you can't get to Texas and Dallas, maybe you want to fly through Austin and then rent a car and drive. If you're nearby somewhere, your second option might be just to drive, period. If you can get there in 4 or 5 hours, that's the safest way in your own car.
Right.
Yeah.
And one more question for you. Would you
Time's
recommend...
up. I'm kidding. It's a Riesling. Kick this talking.
Would you recommend seat covers? I have a friend who purchased one for an LA to BWI flight. So have you seen anyone using seat covers, or do you recommend that for the aircraft?
I haven't yet seen any seat covers. I do recommend a tray cover. Especially when you put that tray down. There's a couple of sites on, I think Instagram, I've seen one where they sell you can cover your seat. One of the things I don't recommend is wearing gloves on the airplane because you're just recontaminating yourself and others unless you're changing it as often as you can, which you're not bringing a whole box of gloves. I'd rather for you to wash your hands than to have gloves. But a seat cover, I have not seen it. I've seen the full Naomi Campbell full gear and headband and 3 different masks on. Whatever your comfort level is, that's what you should bring. If you want to bring a seat cover, bring a seat cover. The airlines won't stop you. If you want to bring a shield and wear shades, do whatever makes you feel comfortable, because at the end of the day, it's you protecting your safety and your health. Don't let the airlines or anybody else dictate on what makes you feel comfortable.
Awesome. Yeah. Big facts.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Be in touch. And definitely you guys remember to check out Sky Bobby TV. I did put his channel link in the chat. I will also include all the channel links to our special guests in the description box. So we're going to say bye to Bobby.
Thank you.
On our next guest. Oops. Make sure you all are hitting the link. Oh, let me go up. Oh, there we go. Okay, so we have 32 people. It looks like, I think, in the chat. I hope there are 32 likes on the live, and make sure you continue to put in your questions. We're going to move on to our next guest, which is Tamaya Stokes. And Tamaya is also a travel content creator in the travel industry who has a lot of experience traveling. Tamaya will be talking to us because she has traveled internationally during the pandemic. Not only has she traveled internationally, however, she also has been there for quite a while. So she can give also some insight on what it's like in this country compared to what it is here and how they're handling the pandemic. So
people love this country too.
Right. Without further ado, I'm going to bring on Tamaya. Tamaya, your phone is switched.
I see.
There you go.
Okay, there we go.
Welcome.
What's in the background there? What?
Right, we jealous.
Wait, hold on. Let me get this together. I don't know what happened here. Sorry,
no, you're
guys.
right. There it is.
There it is.
Yeah. So tell us where you are.
I am in the beautiful land of Jamaica.
No, stop.
Sound effects.
That's the representative sound.
So those are the blue mountains behind us that we're looking at.
So extra. So thank you for joining us. We are going to get into the questions, and you guys make sure you put comments in for questions that you might have. So before we get in, I just want to highlight some other comments. Renee said, thank you to Sky Bobby TV for answering some of those questions. Eddie said, excellent advice. Thanks for joining us, Candace. You finally made it live. Tiki said, thanks as well. Okay, so.
She thankless for. She ain't asked no questions.
She was thinking Sky Bobby, not us.
Got you. Sorry.
Okay, so let's get back to tomorrow. Okay, so speaking of traveling internationally, when you were planning to visit Jamaica, what type of research did you do beforehand when you were planning and preparing yourself to travel to Jamaica?
So what I did was,
what type of research did you do due to the pandemic? Not just travel related research in general, but due to the pandemic.
well, I'm here in Jamaica a lot. I mean, quite a bit. I was actually here when they closed the borders. I was here March 16th, and I kind of got spooked at the last minute and took a flight home, and they closed 4 days later.
Wow.
So what I have been doing is I've been researching. I've watched Prime Minister Andrew Holness on all his social media platforms, which would be Instagram, Facebook, and that's like their president, I guess, Prime Minister, and just listening to his updates on far as when they're going to open and how they are going to do their phases in opening.
Okay, that's a good tip too, because someone asked that earlier, where they said, what should you do to figure out what countries are allowing United States citizens in, and kind of research what their requirements are. So I think that's a great tip to start off with just following the news cycle in the country that you are planning to visit. So you said you would listen to the Prime Minister and listen to any briefings that they were doing. So I think that's a great tip. Now, absolutely. I know that different countries are handling the pandemic different ways, and so they might have a certain process that you have to consider when you are, like, things that you have to do before you arrive, things you have to do once you are in the airport, things you have to do when you're in the country. So can you kind of walk us through the process of anything you had to do before you got to Jamaica, when you landed in the airport, and when you left the airport?
Okay, sure. We're happy to do that. So there were several phases, just like I guess we have phases how they're opening up businesses in the States. Mm-hmm. So they had phases in how they were opening up the country. So I came in on the first phase in the month of June, which is when they opened the borders, June 15th. From June 1st to the 15th, they allowed nationals to come home.
Okay.
So on the 15th, they opened up for tourists or non-nationals to come in. And with that first phase, you were required, everyone was testing in the airport. You had to have a COVID test inside of the airport. There was, in the pre-entry, you had to do a application online to request entry into the country. And it just asked you basically the same thing as an immigration form. And they added a few questions about COVID. So you had to complete that and you had to have a code to even fly. So when you went to the airport, they requested the code to show that you requested entry by Jamaica from the country. And any airline that you flew with would not allow you to fly unless you had that entry code.
So the entry code showed that you had a test done already.
No test required. No test prior to entry. You were tested at the airport regardless if you had a test.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay.
Okay.
But the test just shows that you requested to come into the country and that you were
Got it.
approved.
Okay. So then when you landed in Jamaica, what happened then?
Everything. When you first
So everything.
land, yeah, they didn't even give you the customs form how they usually land. You land and they give you the form. They walk around and hand it out. It was contactless. So when you exit the plane, there were stations set up throughout the airport. The first station would be hand sanitizer and temperature check. And I mean like along the hallway. You know, if you travel international, that long immigration hallway you pass through, that they had stations set up that whole entire length of the airport, or the length of that hallway. They had armed soldiers in the airport as well. You would do a temperature check. I believe that was first. After the temperature check, you would do a questionnaire, basically that same immigration form you do, but they ask you in detail. What were your plans while visiting? Where would you be staying while visiting? Were you here with family, friends? You know, all that stuff, but it was a personal interview. After that interview, there was a third process where you had to check your bags. Like whatever luggage you had to leave it in a certain area. I forget exactly how the steps went, but there was a testing where you had to do a nasal swab and a throat culture. Depending on where you were staying and how long you were staying, you had to download an app onto your telephone where they would track you.
Oh, wow.
It's called the Jam COVID-19 app, where they would actually track your whereabouts and would give you random check-ins, requested check-ins, and you would chart your temperature. And there was a GPS on there, obviously, and it would give them your location. You had to do like a 4-second video every time the app requested you check in. So they monitored, make sure you downloaded that, make sure you had paper showing that you tested, and then you can leave the airport, which you can retrieve your bags again, and then you can leave the airport. So it's about 5 different stations you had to go through to leave.
So once you get tested, do you have to stay in the airport for a certain amount of hours, or how quick is the results come back? I guess
Well, I've been here a month and I don't have results.
But
my family.
You quarantined 14 days though, right?
Well, it depends. Depends. Like I had a girlfriend come down with me, and she was here for the first 4 days of my trip. She did not have to quarantine. We went to the tourist area. There's a tourist quarter where you can supposedly move around freely, and it's up by the Grill, Montego Bay area. And what it was prior to me coming with my research and all of my documents, because I screenshot everything and had all the information. This was like a test for me, like a final exam, my senior thesis. I had everything down pat. And you were supposed to go, because I didn't want any surprises. You know, I know it's a pandemic. I know that Jamaica has very low numbers coming from the United States, and we have very high numbers. So I wanted to be prepared. And like I said, I studied, I watched every single press release they had, and it stated that we can stay in the tourism area, the quarters, and it stretched from the Grill up to Port Royal or something close to that. I forget the exact area. But when we reached here, when we were doing our interview, they told us that we couldn't leave our hotel, that you had to stay on your resort. And we actually had to sign paperwork stating that we would stay on the resort and we would not leave, or we could be fined or jailed.
Yeah.
And just because I know that a lot of countries have lower numbers than we have here. And so is there anything that you want to share to other travelers that are considering traveling internationally of things that we can do as U.S. citizens going other places to not only protect ourselves, but make sure that we are being considerate when entering other countries. So what are some things, like I know you said that you got a COVID test before, you can COVID test in the airport, but are there any other things that you would suggest that we keep in mind?
Yeah, I would keep in mind and suggest that people keep in mind that we're visitors to another country. Be respectful. You know, a lot of us, I'm not going to say don't take it as serious. We know it's serious. Everybody does, unless you're blind. Even if some people say whatever their personal beliefs are on with the COVID situation, we all have them. You're still in somebody else's country. So be respectful of the people that live here that do not have the resources that we have. When you're walking into buildings or any public building place, they're spraying your hands with sanitizer. You don't touch the door anymore. Security is there with sanitizer. They're opening the door for you. Everybody's masked up. It's required you have one mask for everything. So
you matching, coordinating, or whatever.
I said this was my senior thesis, honey. I came prepared for everything. I mean, I have my N95 mask. I have 3 or 4 brand new masks that I carry with me. I flew with those. If I'm in a crowded place, I will have my N95 mask on. But just if I'm just out chilling, I can have one color coordinated. I'm not in a crowd. I'm not breathing, close air with other people. So, but just be respectful. Just be mindful. All that sneezing and coughing, and most people here, and I understand they're really protective of what's going on in the media. They're not wearing masks. They wear a mask when they have to, just like in the States. When they're in public places, they wear them. But as a visitor into somebody's home, I don't think that's right for us to come in and disregard the protocol like that. So I have my mask on, but you'll see people with their masks down here everywhere. So just be mindful. You're not at home. You're at somebody else's house.
Exactly. And you took the COVID test, what, 3 times? How many times did you took the COVID test?
I've taken it 2 times.
2 times.
I took it at home before I left, and I took the 2. Well, I guess it was 2. I guess that would be 3 because I did the nasal and the throat swab.
Okay. What's your experience with it? How do you like?
Zero results on any of them.
Video of it, but some people said it touched your brain out.
It was painless. I mean, I'm not sure what good experience. I didn't have any issues at all with it, and I'm not squeamish at all. But I'm not. I don't want anybody sticking anything up my nose. But I didn't have a problem with it. It wasn't painful. I didn't have a nosebleed. When I walked off, the pain was gone. I hear people say they felt the pain long after. I don't know what kind of test they had, but I didn't experience that.
They must have somebody just jamming that thing up their nose or something. I don't know.
Right. So thank you so much for joining us. I think that the information, as you can see from the chat, people are saying this is very thorough and informative. So thanks so much for joining us to give your firsthand experience on traveling internationally during this pandemic. Before we sign off, I want to give you an opportunity to share anything that you weren't able to share about your channel. You are a content creator as well. What can people expect from your channel as you continue to explore Jamaica and make us all jealous?
Well, my original goal was to just travel and show people different experiences as I experienced them. Obviously, COVID has changed that completely. I just started my actual channel this year in January, and 4 months of travel, and I traveled every month to Jamaica. My travel would stop. So this experience, I've done different things. Like I've actually registered and received my TRN number, which is like Jamaica's social security number.
Oh,
so
wow.
Right, and I have my first place here in Jamaica. I was actually able to secure a contract 2 days ago. So I'm sitting now on my balcony on the 6th floor. Thank you, overlooking the mountains while I talk to you guys. But
we overlooking the couch. I mean, what? Right. I mean, what?
I'm sharing with you guys, though. It's all love.
I'm joking.
I know. Happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So I'm just sharing with you guys as I experience different things. And, I don't have an agenda. It's just all about traveling, all about me trying to get acclimated into the place where I wanted to be, which is Jamaica.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to join us. You guys definitely take a look at Tamia's channel. I did include the channel link in the chat box. Once again, I will also include all the channel links in the description box down below as well to all of the special guests. Check her out. She's going to be there for a while, so she definitely be able to give you an insight look at how things are happening in Jamaica. So thanks once again for joining us.
Thank you for having me. You guys have a great day.
Thank you too.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, so we have another guest with us for Traveling During the Pandemic. Our next special guest, they are also content creators on YouTube, and they also travel very frequently. They are cruise enthusiasts. However, they also travel internationally, and they also have a lot of domestic fun at places such as Disney, Universal Studios. And so we want to welcome our next guest.
Hi!
There they are!
What's up?
Adventures! Thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having
Thanks for
us.
reaching
Thank
out.
you for
Yeah.
having us. Yeah, it's a great topic, so we're excited to share.
Absolutely. So we've already heard from a flight attendant, everyone. We've heard from someone that's traveled internationally to Jamaica. And now we're here to hear some information from AK Adventures on their recent travels to Mexico. So are there any tips on the sites you all looked at, or the information or research that you did when you were planning your trip to Mexico that you think people should keep in mind in the midst of the pandemic?
Yes. I think during these times when you travel, you really have to be intentional about taking the time to do good research, mainly because so many things, the whole world shut down when COVID happened. And there's so many places that still are not open yet. Unfortunately, there's a lot of places that never recovered from being shut down. They had to close down their business.
Right.
So there might be places you were used to going when you went to Mexico or anywhere that you might be excited about returning to, and they might not even be open when you get there.
Right.
So it's really important to do your research beforehand. And I'll say that a lot of the times I use TripAdvisor. That is like my favorite site for looking up information. You can go to their travel forums and you can get information from people in real time, sharing their experience of what things are like there. So TripAdvisor was really, really helpful for planning your trip.
Yeah, we love TripAdvisor, man.
Yeah.
A lot of times when we look at the photos, we don't. They have like the resort
With the
photos.
professional
No,
photographer,
I
want to see
want
your
the
photos.
in-person photos.
Yes, I want to see the traveler photos, not
Exactly.
the photos. Yeah.
We look at TripAdvisor for the travel photos, and then we look at blogs a lot. So that's
Yeah,
one
a lot
reason
of
why we
blogs.
also started our channel, where we just wanted to show experiences, like real life experiences, give reviews, give itinerary ideas. So like that's why we definitely agree with that. You have a lot of, I don't know if you guys can see the
Y'all
chat,
popular now.
but everyone's saying hi to you guys. Everyone's so excited.
What's up? What's
Hey,
up?
we have
Like,
so much on our phone here.
Yeah, so everyone's giving shout outs. Someone said, where in Mexico? Well, they're not in Mexico anymore, but where in Mexico did you all travel to?
We went to Cancun.
Cancun.
We did.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, we did all inclusive in Cancun. So that's what our trip was
Yeah, because I did watch your vlog, and it looks like y'all was really close to Paradises. We went to Paradises maybe like.
This was like 5 years ago,
5 years
because Bryce
ago.
was under 2.
Yeah, so y'all was kind of close in that little corridor over there.
about. Right. I guess the strip.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All the hotels that I was deciding between when we were going to the hotel we decided to stay at, I was like, well, I saw that one, I saw that one. So yeah, they were all in that same area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So I had a question. This
This is not about the pandemic, is it?
it
Go
is.
ahead. Yeah, you know.
So did y'all book before or after the pandemic?
Ooh, listen to me. My wife plots on me a lot of times, and she plans trips without me knowing, and then just like, the next day she's like, "Pack your bags, we're going X, Y, Z." So you had to ask her.
So I definitely booked it during the pandemic.
Okay.
So originally in February, we had plans. It was either February or early March. We had plans to go to Tulum. And then everything happened, everything shut down. And then once I saw that Mexico was opening up to tourists, I was like, well, let's go back. But I wanted to make sure that he would be comfortable with traveling during this time, because everybody's not comfortable with traveling right now, and you have to respect that. So I was kind of just like sneaky with it, asking him like, how would you feel about going internationally right now? You know, just going somewhere else right now. And he was like, I think I'd be okay with that. And I was like, good. So I just booked it and we went.
Oh, nice.
She has been plotting this for like, it was like 3 or 4 weeks that she would ask different questions like that. And I was like, where's this coming from?
Yeah. So it was.
I saw that video. I thought it was super cute, and I just feel like my birthday's tomorrow. Like, why you ain't planning me no trip? You gonna drink your wine on it? You gonna
Yeah.
Take a sip. Take a drink.
A long sip.
Before we move into the next question, I do want to shout out Dran Chan TV, one of the moderators. Thank you for joining tonight, Dran Chan. Thank you, Scott. Yep, call him out. See, you know what I'm saying? She over here booking surprise trips and everything.
Right. Hello.
Hey. Your little action behind just saying it. No,
my birthday coming up.
Right. You got a birthday too.
Yeah. I was about to ask something. So how much? Okay. So how much was it? How much did you save? You think compared to COVID versus non-COVID travel?
So I will say, for one, they had a lot of deals going on because they just needed people to come back. Tourism is a big thing in Mexico, and they really rely on that. So we got some good deals. I would definitely say our hotel was about 60% off.
Wow.
And so it was a really good price. I booked our tickets. I'm just always on the internet checking flights, trying to get a good time to book. So our flights, we flew Delta because I wanted to make sure we flew on an airline that was social distancing and they required masks on the plane. So I found good tickets on Delta. So I booked through there. It definitely wasn't as expensive, as it normally would be. So that's something to consider if anybody wants to travel right now. And they, there's a lot of deals going on right now that you could take advantage of for sure.
No, that's good to know. I mean, it does come with, they know that people think it's risky right now. And people are a little hesitant. So with that though, comes the deals.
Yeah, you definitely have to weigh it out, the pros, the cons, and what you're willing to do. Yeah.
Right. So the next question, because I know that Tamaya did fill us in and give a lot of information about the process for Jamaica, but I do know that every country has a different process. So what were the steps that you had to take either before you traveled to Mexico? What did you experience once you landed in Mexico, and then once you were at the hotel and enjoying your trip?
So there are a couple of things that happened. Unbeknownst to me,
I saw y'all get the test done.
Right. She was plotting that test for a reason.
Yeah.
In my mind, okay, let's just get the test and say we did it or whatever. But in her mind, she was like, okay, we need to get this before we go on this trip. Mm-hmm. So we definitely would recommend, if anybody is traveling internationally or even state to state, get your behind a test. Go and get a COVID test. It's uncomfortable, but it's necessary in the climate that we're living in. So the first thing that we had to do, we didn't have to do it, but the first thing that we did in our planning was to get the COVID test. Mm-hmm. If we had received negative results, we would not have gone.
No, positive
results. Yeah. But negative. We had tested positive, we wouldn't have gone on the trip, just to ensure that we don't take our sickness,
of course,
to some other country. Yeah. But after we got the test, she told me about it. We packed the next day and we were on the plane going there. When we got there, they had us sign some custom papers, basically where we're going, how long we're going to stay there. We literally went up to the customs counter, gave them our sheet of paper. They stamped our passports, let us through. We walked through a corridor where they had an actual system. Instead of a person standing there with a thermometer, they actually had a system, an infrared
scanner.
Body scanner.
Mm-hmm. Body scanner that took your temperature?
Right. That took your temperature. And then they let you walk through. And then that was it.
That was it.
Oh, and they searched our luggage.
Yeah, they searched our luggage.
Like they went through our toiletries. They went through everything. Like everything. But other than that, we didn't have to do an interview or anything like that. But I will say, even in spite of not having an interview or not having that microscopic checkout, they were very safe in that all of the agents, the custom agents, the TSA agents, all the people working at the airport were had their covers, face shields, even the transportation companies that were staged there had their face coverings and masks and all that stuff. So they were super safe.
They did a great job in Mexico from what we had seen. They did a fantastic job.
And one of the things that we noticed while we were there, the reason why they were going to such lengths to make sure that they could receive us, because Cancun, if not 100%, 95% operates off of tourism.
Yeah.
Yep.
So they want to do whatever they have to do to make sure that they can start opening up, because they have families to provide for, they have kids to, so it's a lot that went into their planning and their execution to make it a safe place for people to travel to.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I definitely preface this whole conversation with, we're here to talk about travel during the pandemic, but we're here to spread information on how we can do so effectively and safely, and not really to have a debate or have any judgmental conversations around who decides to travel, who doesn't. That's not what this is about, because you never know what someone's reason for traveling is. You also, there is one perspective where you can travel places and potentially spread the everything, but then there also what you just said, Aaron, where a lot of these countries, they do depend, like a lot of the economy is based off of tourism as well. So there's different perspectives and ways to look at it. So I'm definitely happy you brought that up.
Yeah, definitely.
What are some differences in what you have found from how we are handling the pandemic here and how you've seen it handled while in Mexico?
Oh my gosh. Well, I will say, for one, since America is making such a big deal out of wearing a face mask or not, I just don't understand. But Mexico was like, you're going to wear this mask. As far as being in public places, it was a requirement. You have to wear a face mask. We went to an outdoor shopping area. It was called La Isla. And we had to get our temperature taken before we could go in. We had to sanitize. And then it was an outdoor mall. And we walked directly into a shop, and we had to do the same thing all over again. In every single shop that we went to, it was temperature sanitized. Like, they just weren't playing any games about sanitation. They weren't. They were taking it really
went so
serious.
far with the sanitation going into the store that they had disinfecting for your shoes.
And shoes.
Oh.
They were super serious about not, spreading germs even with the soles of your shoes. So it's super
It's serious.
Drastically different, because we here in America, home of the free, land of the brave, whatever be, we don't want anybody infringing on our rights. So that we do what we want to do. But on the other hand, Mexico is like, listen, this is what we have to do to live. Let's make it happen and let's execute.
Let's just do it. Yeah.
We do have. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to say, y'all ain't running into any Karens out there.
We did it, but to be honest, there really weren't many people there anyway. But we didn't run into any. No, we didn't. Surprisingly.
Did your hotel have any procedures that they told y'all? Like, did they clean your room more than usual?
Right.
They did. So on top of just the typical cleaning that they did, they had people going to every floor, and they were in full hazmat suits.
Oh, that's kind of scary.
Yeah, they were in full hazmat suits, and they had disinfectant on their back.
Disinfectant.
And they would spray the whole room down. So every day. So if we came back to the room right after they sprayed, we could still kind of see a little bit of the disinfectant on the floor. they probably should have put out like something to tell us to be careful because the floor was a little wet.
Smelling like Clorox in that jump.
Right.
But they disinfected the whole space, so that was an extra step they were taking for sanitation, and just around the whole property, they were doing a really good job with sanitation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We do have a few questions coming into the chat, so if you're open to it, we would like to present some questions. So Roslyn says she's uncomfortable planning an international trip because the rules are changing weekly. So I'm pretty sure that was top of mind for you when you were planning this surprise birthday trip for your husband.
Listen, easy.
But anything that you can share about what you kept in mind, just knowing that things were changing so rapidly when you were considering planning this trip.
Yeah. Well,
let me say this.
Okay,
so one of the things that we try to spread in our videos is positivity. And right now, there are high levels of depression, high levels of just, oblivion, because we don't really have strong leadership in the country. We don't really have strong leadership in our, states and all that stuff. And it's like a dumpster fire, like she said in the video. But one of the things that we try to do is, because I don't know if you guys know this, and I ain't trying to put it out there like this, but I'm a pastor. One of the things, I guess one of the ways it helps me, spread positivity and outreach, help somebody put a smile on their face because of everything that we're going through. So COVID, people dying, Black Lives Matter, there's a lot going on. So one of the reasons, or one of the deciding factors for us to travel is to try and spread positivity, try to put a smile on somebody's face and try to make somebody's day brighter, because 2020
there's
is
a lot going on.
It's a lot happening.
That's one of the motivating factors, or that helps us decide how we're going to do it. It's not a matter of if we're going to do it; it's how we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But the thing is, as well, as far as things changing weekly, they definitely are changing quickly. So I think the main thing that I would recommend is, if you're planning your trip possibly a month in advance, you have to have some kind of flexibility during these times, because one week they could be fully open and the next week they could be like, okay, cases are a little too high for us, we're shutting things down. And so you have to be prepared for that. You just have to maintain flexibility, and you just gotta be able to go with the flow. That's what I think, to a certain extent. So if you're calling places and you're asking if they're open, and you called them for your trip a month in advance, you have to make sure you're calling them probably a week or maybe even a couple days before you leave, to make sure that things are still the same before you arrive to your destination. Right. Yeah. And
we also, I know that this is not something we just talked about due to the pandemic, but we do have a lot of tips on travel insurance, and this is something that people may want to consider and keep in mind, especially during this time. Normally we talk about it more holistically, where you want to make sure that it can cover potential medical things, but just in terms of just this now, things are changing so rapidly, so quickly. See what travel insurance are doing about how they're responding to pandemic stuff. And I know that can vary depending on travel insurance, and that's not necessarily the purpose of this chat, but I think it's something to consider.
Also, make sure you get that refund if something changed. Make sure that line might have that in place. Because a lot of times we'll or at least put the money towards another trip down the line or something like that.
Right.
Absolutely.
Check it in that way, because you don't want to lose your money.
Right. Another question Candace asked is, how was it coming back into the United States?
It was very seamless. I don't think we had really any issues coming back. We flew into, we had a layover in Atlanta. We flew into Greensboro. We didn't have any issues at all. No issues at all. It was pretty seamless. Kind of.
Roll up in that joint.
It was just normal, as if nothing was really going on. They didn't ask us any extra questions, like pertaining to COVID. They didn't ask us any anything extra, or we didn't have, any other details. It was very seamless. We didn't have any issues.
I don't
You have the body scan thermometer?
I don't know.
Not coming back.
I don't think they even took our temperature coming back.
Where our money going to? Where our money going to?
Okay, yeah, no.
Listen,
I could go real BLM right now, but I ain't gonna say that. We need to redistribute the
Right.
money
Hey,
to
spread the wealth around.
I'll just say that.
Yes,
Defund certain things.
yes.
Fund certain things.
Right. Come on.
That part. One more question. What was the occupancy percentage at the hotel that you guys were staying at in Cancun? What do you think?
Ooh. Listen.
There were very
maybe
few people.
Very few.
I would say fewer than 50%.
No, much less than 50.
Like,
Probably around 15 to 20% occupancy.
oh yeah. It was yeah. And we were okay, so in our demographic as well. So when we first got there, it was like two other African American folks there. And then like midweek, it was a family that came. But everybody else, predominantly white, predominantly Mexican, coming from inner Mexico.
Yeah.
Because they come to the coast of vacation. Yeah. So it was, I think it was more from inner Mexico coming to the coast of vacation than it was international.
International folks. Yep, that makes sense.
And one last question. Oh, did you have something to say, Kira?
Oh, no.
Okay. So one last question. Before we get to the question, there's a comment. Renee says, might I say that both of you couples are beautiful?
Oh, well, thank you.
Oh,
Renee.
Thank you, Renee.
All brothers represent, Diane. We winning in the COVID stage. We winning in the COVID stage.
Okay, last question. Did they limit the amount of people that could be in a particular place at one time while you were in Mexico, going different places?
They didn't. Well, I'm not going to say that. I'm sure at the shopping area that we went to, they would have, because they did have people at the doors of each shop, but there were just so few people. It never got to that occupancy level.
Yeah.
But as far as at the hotel, there just weren't a lot of people there. So
yeah, and even then, when we were go to the restaurants, specialty restaurants, the tables were spaced out.
Yeah, they were doing all
to account for the social distancing.
Yeah.
So that I guess that's what they did to help out with that issue as far as large groups of people being in a certain area.
Yeah.
Even the chairs to some extent were spaced out.
Mm-hmm.
Room service was on time. Dinner was on time.
Yeah.
Sorry, one last question. I'm sorry. The chat is popping right now. So yeah, it's popping right now. So were there any guidelines that you were given for going back to work? For example, Whitney's job said that if they were to travel out of the country or the state with a high COVID rate, they have to quarantine for 2 weeks. We're gonna turn this over to you guys, because right now we're both have the privilege, thank you, Lord, to work from home right now. So do you all have anything to share about anything your jobs may have required?
I'll let her go first, and then I'll.
Okay.
So I haven't even started back at work as of now. I'm actually getting ready to start back. I'm not ready. I'm getting ready to start back up though. But I'm not sure if we had any requirements for my job, and I'm not quite sure if Aaron had any requirements either as far as international travel, but I will say we did take it upon ourselves to quarantine for 2 weeks once we got back. Because I just felt like that was really important for us to do, because we very well could have gone and came back with COVID. And so I didn't want us to be just, out and about, just spreading it here in America.
Right.
Yeah. So,
and even continuing on, so the organization that I work for, we have not opened back up our churches yet.
Yeah.
So even in Mexico, I was doing virtual stuff.
Yeah.
So I've been virtually ministering to my church, calling my members, all that stuff. So it's not been a matter of me being out of work. It's just we got to transform to a different platform to be able to meet the needs of the folks. So it's and I don't know when we're going to open back up, honestly, because things are changing and there's so much gray area, so much oblivion. So that's where we are right now.
But you didn't have any requirements from your job.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So we just took it upon ourselves to do it. Yeah.
That's good.
No, I'm happy you did mention that though, because like you've mentioned several times, here in America, there are certain things that are not mandatory, but just because they're not mandatory doesn't mean it's not a best practice.
Right.
So I do think that it is important that you shared that although it may not have been mandated or required or anything, that just by virtue of you just being considerate.
Right. Take personal responsibility.
And I think that a lot of people love to travel, but we have to keep in mind to be responsible travelers. So just as we are going in other countries and trying to respect their customs, when we're coming back, I think it's important that you highlight that you all, upon yourselves, just decided, let's quarantine, make sure everything's good.
Yeah.
There are, everyone's, blessings those who work from home. So you guys, I have AK Adventures channel link on the screen. I also put it in the chat box, and I will definitely put it in the description box down below. Before you all sign off, are there any things that you want to share about your channel or what's coming up? I know that you have some fun vlogs coming up for Cancun, but anything you want to share about your channel?
I guess to anyone that's not familiar with us, we are just a young, happy couple that likes to have fun, and we like to travel, whether that's by car, plane, or cruise ship. So if you're interested in any of that, then just make sure to check us out. We're putting out our Cancun vlogs now, and we are getting ready to go. In 2 weeks, we're going to a getaway house. Have you guys ever heard of that?
A getaway
house? No. I mean, I know there's cabins and things, but what is this getaway house you speak of?
It's like, it's hard to describe, but they're kind of these individual homes.
Like tiny homes, have you ever heard of them?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Actually, there's one close to us. Okay. In like Shenandoah Valley, outside. We're in Virginia. So there's one, I definitely think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to go to a getaway house here, which is a great thing to do during these times. If you don't want to be around people, it can just be you and your family, you and your spouse. That's a great option. So we're getting ready to do that, and we just like to have fun. So if you're interested.
And then, like, after we finish the Cancun vlogs, we got some Disney vlogs because we just got back from Disney.
Right.
Yes.
Like,
a couple days ago. So we'll be here for 2 weeks, and then we're going to the getaway house. And then we just
out here now.
You said what?
I said y'all out here buy COVID.
Listen,
y'all out here.
Listen.
I appreciate that.
We really do practice.
Don't let COVID run you. Run COVID.
Right. Exactly. Life is still going on. But
Players Club.
This woman right here is a germaphobe.
How was that for a sound bite?
She's a germaphobe. You said what now?
No, I was saying that's a great sound bite.
Oh, right. She is like super germaphobic. So like every time we travel, even since we went to Universal, we travel with Lysol disinfectant wipes, like the Clorox spray,
all that stuff.
The gloves, the sanitizer, all that stuff is just like in a care package that we take with us wherever we go, to make sure even if they didn't clean, we're gonna clean it before we use it.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah.
Did y'all see LeBron down there?
No.
We were looking. We saw the hotels that they were in the bubble. We were looking. We didn't see
the bubble. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. Yeah, I think
it was good.
They're over it because most of them are pampered.
Yeah.
You heard the reports that they don't like the service or something.
Yeah.
But it's neither here nor there.
Yeah, we had a good time though.
What's up?
Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your evening to join us. We really do appreciate it. Yeah. You guys, I know that many of you have heard of them already, but if you haven't, definitely check out their channel. And thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having us. Bye.
That was fun. That was fun. I hope you guys got some really great information
a lot of good
our
information.
Special guest today. I think all three of them gave some great information that I hope that you will consider if you are planning to travel domestically or internationally.
You just take some of the tips to heart. You know, if you want to, like you said, if you want to travel internationally or domestically, take these tips to heart. You know, protect yourself as much as possible. And you know, just try to do the best you can to stay safe and protect your family. And you know, try to have fun in the midst of all this, because a lot of times, you know, being stuck in the house, you get that cave, that what they call it, cabin fever. And yeah, some people going through it right now. So mental health is very important during these times. Make sure you keep your mind occupied, keep your body occupied, get outside, moving in some capacity. And just, you know, let's try to make it through 2020, man.
And we're going to go through the chat just to make sure we don't have any additional questions. I know that some of them weren't particular to a certain, like Mexico or Jamaica, so I kind of saw them, but I want to get to them before we signed off. I definitely see that there are a lot of people in the chat. There's almost 50 of you, so make sure you're liking this this video. Make sure you're checking out the channel links below, and also make sure you don't forget to check out the Wine Around the World video. Just to reiterate, we do go live every other Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So make sure that you put it on your schedule. Make sure you come and join us every other week. We poll on our community tab on the topic. So one, if you have topic suggestions, put them in the chat box. You can comment on one of our videos with topic suggestions. You can comment on the community tab. You can email us, DM us on topics. If you have travel questions, definitely let us know, because we can do Q&A videos. And make sure you're voting on the topics in the community tab so we can discuss things that you want to discuss. And if there are any special guests that you all recommend, definitely let us know as well. So Antonia said, I have a cruise plan for the end of October after it was canceled in March. How do you think the cruise industry might handle the pandemic if they were open now? So yeah, so I don't know when the cruises are going to start opening up again. There's a lot happening, because you have to keep in mind, one, they have a lot to consider because you're basically in a very small confined space. There's a lot they have to consider, but not only that, there are things outside of their control that will impact when they can start cruising again. So you have information that was just shared like yesterday, where Bahamas is not even opening up to letting U.S. citizens come in. So if you have more countries doing things like that, they won't have ports to go to.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that the cruise industry is getting hit hard right now. And I know I'm not sure when it's gonna come back open. We talked about cruising last.
No, I think it was maybe it was 2 months ago.
Yeah, we have a cruise chat. So make sure you check that out. We were talking about like what we thought was going to be different in cruises once they open back up in the pandemic and things like that. So definitely check that out. High Life with Us TV, thanks for joining. And Renee said, thank you. This was very informative in travel info. So definitely, oh, and Renee liked your thing. Don't let COVID run you. Run COVID. So we're going to go ahead and sign off, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you click the like button, share this video, tune in, subscribe to our channel, and tune into our next Travel Live. And make sure you check out the fun video. We were doing wine tasting from wines from every continent. So thanks so much, and good night. See you in the next one.
Peace.
Bye, everybody.